Hey everyone, welcome back to Kali Plants. It's me again, Mark, and today we're back at the greenhouse with another succulent video. And today, I think that it's nice to have a sit down with you guys to really discuss details about our succulents. And for this one, I wanted to make this topic about succulents that I've killed before. Now, these are succulents that I will be showing you. I have 7 of them. Actually, they're here at the back, but I will be placing them one by one here. These are succulents that I've killed before, and I just wanted to share with you what I learned about growing these type of succulents, because sometimes we will hear other people say that these varieties are very easy, and then once we get to take care of them, they just suddenly die. So I wanted to solve that issue with you guys with these succulent examples that I will be sharing with you. Now, let's just go to the first one so that this won't take very long. Okay, this is Graptosedum ghosty. Now, you might have seen a lot of Graptosedum ghosty before if you've been looking at succulent groups online. And Graptosedum ghosty is a very popular common succulent here in the Philippines because it's very beautiful. It has this thick farina that sometimes will look like it will have a semblance of a more expensive type of succulent because of that thick farina, but it's not as expensive as our other much more unusual succulents. So it's very cheap, very easy to get a hold of, but also I've killed this plant several times before, so that's really funny because Kali plants, you would think that this would be an easy plant for me. But what I realized with the Graptosedum ghosty is that the several times that I've killed it before is because of overwatering. So sometimes I underestimate or I overlook checking the plant if it's really thirsty, and then I just water it right away, and then the plant suddenly gets rot. So you can see here, these are probably propagations of my matured Graptosedum ghosty. I have another pot here. I have several pots of them. This one, okay, Graptosedum ghosty, and also this one. So you can see here, there's already a dead stem. So that used to be a much more healthier or much more fuller stem of Graptosedum ghosty, and you can see here, this is just the pups that have been left behind, and I don't think that they're looking really nice. So what I'm doing with these plants right now is I'm not watering them as often as I would usually water them before. Okay, so I'm trying to water them less frequently. I've been waiting for their leaves to wrinkle before I water them really, and then I check out if their potting mix is really dry. And also, what I think I did wrong with these plants is I planted them in potting mixes that don't have a lot of organic material. So you might have already known if you've been watching Kali plants for a very long time. I've been using potting mixes that has a lot of pumice in it, and I don't think right now that that is ideal anymore. So I think I would want to, if I'm gonna be planting Graptosedum ghosty again, I think I would want to put it in a more potting mix that has more organic material, because this plant, it can grow quite fast once you manage to establish it. And I think that the establishing part is the problem if a succulent doesn't establish itself well into the potting mix because it's too loose. So that will make the roots much more prone to getting rot. So I think that that's just a theory. I think I will be trying out Graptosedum ghosty a little bit more. I will be trying to learn more about this plant so that I can make it thrive and we can have that beautiful look on our ghosty, because you can see here, these are not really looking like Graptosedum ghosty. They're looking like Graptosedum Darly Sunshine because of their long leaves. I haven't managed to grow one that has that compact Graptosedum look like with our other Graptosedum ghosties. So yeah, that is one challenging plant for me for now. I think hopefully we can make it much more beautiful soon. Okay, so there's that. Now for our next one, this is Kalanchoe tomentosa. I think this is a cinnamon or the chocolate soldier one. I'm not sure which one is it, but I've had this plant many months ago. I think when I was starting my channel, I already have the same plant, and now I bought one again, and then it suddenly just dropped its leaves. Okay, I think I overwatered it because one time when I was going around the greenhouse, I just bumped into this plant and then it suddenly dropped its leaves. So you can see here we have a lot of leaf drops on the bottom. Okay, you can see probably. So those are already propagations because the plant just suddenly dropped its leaves. So what I did after that happened is I really left the plant alone to dry out for more than a week. I think I made it reach for about 2 weeks without watering the plant really. Even if it dropped its leaves, even if it was kind of getting soft, I really didn't water it, and I stopped watering it. I stopped looking at it, and then I stopped touching the plant because it was dropping leaves, so I was afraid that if I touch it, it will drop even more. So I really wanted the tips to retain some amount of leaves so that it will not thoroughly die out, because I think if I touch the tips back then it would have lost all its leaves and it will not have a chance to grow back. So these leaves, you can see here, the leaves that I have here, these are the old leaves, and those that are on the center, those are the new leaves. So I think that's positive growth on the plant, so I think that it's now growing. So the same problem I had with the old Kalanchoe tomentosa that I had before, I bumped into it one time and then all the leaves just suddenly dropped. So I think that's what happens if you overwater the plants. So even if it's a Kalanchoe, I don't think that this one is as good to be watered more often just with our other Kalanchoes, because our other Kalanchoes, like our all my Kalanchoes are back there. Our other Kalanchoes, like with our flapjack or with our mother of thousands, they can be watered very frequently and they wouldn't die. But I think with the tomentosa, I think it's prone to dying. And I don't think that it's just this one variety. I also think that the Kalanchoe tomentosa, the panda plant, if you overwater it, the same thing will happen. So I think that it's a much more sensitive variety in the Kalanchoe genus, the tomentosa. So not just this one, I think with any other Kalanchoes, you must be mindful of not overwatering them as well. Okay, I think what I would say is this is my second time trying this plant. So this is only the second time. I haven't killed this several times before. So I've only killed it once and I'm trying again, and hopefully we can make this thrive still and we can keep it alive. Okay, so let me just put it here. Okay, we have some space here. And now the next plant that I wanted to highlight is our Echeveria starlight. Okay, so you can see here, I can put it here and you can still see it. Yes, so the Echeveria starlight is another agavoides hybrid. Now agavoides, succulents, Echeverias, agavoides, Echeverias, they're kind of, how would I say this? They have contrasting or contradicting opinions with people. Some other people think that agavoides, Echeverias are very easy to care for, they're very compact, they can be grown indoors. Some other people would say that they can be grown with less light, but with other people, they are very prone to dying. So with other people, and I've had this experience myself with agavoides. I will be showing that later on. Okay, maybe now I will be showing it now. So the Echeveria Nevada, and you can see here, this is not looking good. So this one also hasn't grown a lot since I first showed it to you. So with the agavoides, they have this habit of really dying very quickly, very instantly, and losing their leaves and then getting rotten already. I think this one recently got rot because I think I overwatered it and the potting mix I used with it wasn't good. So I planted it here in a much more shallow pot because it was in a deeper pot. And the same goes with my agavoides Nevada. So this one, okay, you can see here there is mushiness on the leaves at the bottom, and then there are also dried leaves. Okay, so we have that. So these succulents, they can really take in water for a very long time. Sometimes they will not need to be watered for a while, and you will really have to wait for them. They can stay plump for a long time. But sometimes there are some seasons, probably with the season, that you might want to water them much more often because they will grow much more quickly. Now, if you overwater them still, you can still kill them. So that's what happens. The other issue as well, I would say, is that if you don't water it very often, if you get scared of watering it, or really if your potting mix is not good, if it's not drying out very quickly, the plant will lose its leaves. Like with this one, with the agavoides Nevada. So I have featured this recently in a care guide video, and I think I wanted to make another care guide for this one because I've changed some habits on this plant, but you can see here that it's no longer looking that good. It has dropped a lot of leaves. Actually, I've had more issues with this plant than with any other agavoides hybrids before. So the same with the starlight. I've had this plant once before and I've also killed it, and this is my second time trying it out. So I'm hoping that I can make it stay alive. What I did is I added more organic material on the potting mix, and what I found out, what type of organic material you can use is alnus compost, because it dries out rather quickly compared with our other organic materials. Okay, so also what I would say with the rice hull, because that's what I've been using before, the rice hull tends to compact, especially if you use it with small size pummies. So I would avoid that. right away. I would avoid very small pommies and then tons of carbonized rice hull because it will tend to go compact. So I would really suggest the Alnus compost. It's a loose type of organic material, so you can try that, or maybe you can try vermicast. I still mix it with some amount of carbonized rice hull, but I don't use carbonized rice hull purely anymore on my organic materials. So I already mix it with vermicast and with Alnus compost. So I would really recommend that you try it. I've been having a lot of success with that type of potting mix, and you can see here I'm already adding more organic material on my potting mixes. This is another agavoides Nevada. So we have that. So I'm trying to make this one established still because this is a new one, and this is a crested one. I also had a crested Nevada before, and that also died. So I think the Nevada, I've had more than 3 times. I've had Nevada, agavoides Nevada for more than 3 times, and I think it's much more harder succulent to care for if you are an avid collector of other Echeverias, because I've been having a lot of success with my other Echeverias, but with this one not so much. So I think that it really needs a little bit of different care needs, and I really wanted to have a large size Nevada because I really like this plant. It's a really nice compact succulent, you can see that, okay, and I really wanted to have a big one, but I haven't been able to buy one recently, and I'm trying to make this one grow a lot more. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna be doing with this one. Of course, as with other succulents, especially with other Echeverias, I would recommend that you give this more than 6 hours of direct sunlight so that you can keep the shape compact, and it will really help their potting mix to dry out much more quickly if you give them much more sun. And also a lot of air circulation, because I don't think these Echeverias really like to be in a very stale kind of situation. It really wants to have that good airflow around it so that it won't get rot. So the next succulent that I've had challenges recently with is the Graptosedum bronze. Okay, so some other people call it chocolate moonstone, but this is not a pachyphytum. We call pachyphytums moonstones, but this one is not a pachyphytum. This is a Graptosedum, and you can see here it's a really nice reddish color succulent that is kind of compact, and it gets really large as well. This is only a kind of juvenile shape of the plant, so it can get much more larger than this, and I really wanted this large Graptosedum bronze because my neighbor here in Dingalan, they have these large clumps of these plants. Actually, this one came from them. Okay, I had it from a plant trade with them, so these are propagations really, but I've been having problems with this plant because I think the issue is with acclimating. I haven't been able to acclimate my Graptosedum bronze well, because I think they're ones that really like to have a lot more organic material in their potting mix. So what I found with my neighbors here, they're growing their succulents with more organic material on their potting mixes. Actually, they're not that meticulous with their potting mixes. I think they're mixing just regular garden soil with their potting mixes. So they've been able to grow this one quite a lot. The Graptosedum bronze was just prolific. Only if you could see it, it was really beautiful. It's really beautiful on their place. They have large clumps of these succulents over there. So what I ended up doing with this one is I added a lot more organic materials on its potting mix so that maybe it can establish more. So now it's quite thirsty, but it's been drinking water quite recently. It's been getting plump. I just wanted to avoid it getting rot again because the last time that I had it, it was rotting because I was overwatering it. So really, if you have a succulent that is very difficult to care for, or if you're killing it by overwatering, I would recommend you just water it less often. Okay, so that's what I would suggest for you. It's getting dark right now. The next succulent that I've been killing a lot, okay, not killing, probably not anymore, hopefully not anymore, but I've killed this several times before. This is you can see there's a lot of dried leaves. This is a Graptoveria lovely rose, and you can see here the lovely rose is quite a beautiful compact looking succulent. This one really looks like a rose, okay, but this one is kind of etiolating, I think. And we have a lot of propagations right here, and we have this other head right here that is getting quite wide because I think it's getting less sun, so it's producing wider leaves. And this one, since it's getting more sun, it's getting compact. But you can see here on this plant that it's really prone to drying out its leaves, and that is the case with the lovely rose. If you don't water it quickly enough, it will really lose its leaves, and also if you overwater it, it can also drop those leaves. So what I did is, what I changed with this one, this plant right here, I've been using the Alnus compost potting mix that I said was very effective with my succulents. So that's what I have here, and the plant is drinking once I water it, because you would know that your potting mix is just right if the plant is drinking from it. But if your plant is still staying dry, or the plant is staying wilted for a very long time even after you water it, then there must be an issue with your potting mix. But what I found with the Alnus compost potting mix that I'm using here, the plant really soaks up the water, and then it can still stay firm for a while even if the potting mix has dried up as well. So I think that it would be really nice if you can add a little more compost on your potting mixes for your Graptoveria lovely rose, because this one is not the easiest succulent, and actually I would not recommend this for beginners. It's a very active, very prolific grower, but at the same time, if you're not gonna catch up, if you're not gonna match your care with this plant, then it will not thrive. It will just die out, because since it's a very active grower, it will really grow a lot, it can etiolate a lot, and also it can drop a lot of leaves right away. So it's a very fast grower. It's not like our other dormant Echeverias. It's more of an active grower, much like with the Sedum. So that's how I would describe the growth of this plant is. So it grows much like a Sedum, really. Okay, so you might want to treat it like a Sedum. And speaking of Sedums, I have here our last plant. Okay, and this is a Sedum rubrotinctum. Now, I've shown you the same plant before. This is not my newly bought Sedum rubrotinctum. This is the newly bought one. Okay, this is the newly bought one. You can see it's really, really nice. Okay, because I bought new ones, and I have another pot here that is new. And this one is the older Graptosedum, the older Sedum rubrotinctum that I have. It was in 2 pots, and then I clipped off the heads, and then I just threw away the roots, and then I plopped those heads back onto this potting mix. And you can see here that the leaves are plump already again, and they're looking really nice. I've watered them recently, and they're looking really beautiful. They're looking very shiny. They're not dull. That means that they're taking up the water. So if your Sedum rubrotinctum is always dull even after you water it, that means you have a problem with the potting mix. And with this one, what is really funny with this one, because I used to think that Sedums, because they're such thick succulents, that you would not want to leave them wet for a long time, or you might want to put them in a potting mix that really dries up very quickly. But that is not the case with these plants, because they're active growers, I would say. So you can see here the potting mix that I'm using has a lot of organic material. You can barely see the pumice on there. There are some slight hints of pumice, but it's mostly organic material on there, and the plant really attached itself onto that, and it's really drinking up water once I gave it watering. So what the plant wants is something that the roots can attach to, and once it attaches itself, it can grow a lot more beautiful. So if you put it in a pure organic material, or if you put it in a loose potting mix, or pure pumice or very loose potting mix, so the roots will not be able to attach to their potting mix, and then that will have problems with acclimation. Your plant will not develop quickly. It will not become plump like this one. Okay, it will stay dry for a very long time, because it will try to produce more roots than leaves. And because if you're really stressing out that plant that way, it will lose a lot of its leaves, and it will not look good, and it will make it harder for the plant to recover, especially if you get it from the box. So I would recommend that you add a little more organic material on this one, but I would also recommend that you don't use just any other organic material. I would highly recommend you use the Alnus compost if you're in the Philippines, or you can also try pine bark if you're growing in other places. And also you can try vermicast, any other type of compost in your potting mixes, and probably do a lot more organic material than the pumice. So that's what I did with this one. I've been using more organic material right now since I recently got a lot of supply of alnus compost, so I was able to use it on my succulents, and you can see here that it's been successful so far. So now what I'm just hoping is that once this grows up, I can be able to propagate some more Sedum rebutington from this one, and also I am hoping that it will just fill up the container. Okay, much like with this one, really. This one has been going really well with me. It hasn't dropped a lot of leaves, and usually when I buy jelly beans, they would drop leaves before they establish, but since they're also in a very organic material heavy potting mix, they have a lot of alnus compost, so they haven't been dropping a lot of leaves, and once I water them, they can just take up the water and they will not need to sacrifice leaves to produce roots. And right now this one actually has a lot of air roots because I think that it's been getting very humid here in my place. So now I've been renting for a while, but I think that's about all the succulents that I will be sharing with you on this video, succulents that I've killed. I wanted to make this kind of like a return in our usual programming here at the Cali Plants channel, because you know, usually we make these sit down videos where I explain my thoughts and my experiences on my succulents, and I think that since we're coming back anew, I think we're refreshing back the channel, I think this would be a nice video to start that with succulents that I've killed before. Now if you don't want to miss any of the care tips, any of the advices, opinions that I will have soon here on the channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe down below so that you won't miss any of it. I will be posting more videos soon. I'm planning a lot of topics. I actually have a handful of topics right now on mind, so please make sure to hit the subscribe so you won't miss it. Now I will try to post as regularly as I can, and also you can hit the like so that you can support our channel. And I think that's about it for our video, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.